Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Only a few months have passed since the conclusion of the first edition of the Fantasy Creatures contest, but more than 1 year has passed since its beginning. For this reason I didn't want to postpone too much the return to that initial moment of creation, which is also the most fun of the entire initiative. Moreover, to avoid stretching the time again and to keep a more contained duration, I decided to give the project a more compact structure, 3 videos, 1 per month. The first video, this one, will be dedicated to the presentation of the species concepts, to the proposal of ideas and to brainstorming. In the second, we will go more in depth into the world building, after having put some order among the ideas that emerged. The third will be the final compendium, with all the creatures collected in a single video. The actual tournament will take place through the post in the community section, so make sure to vote there, cause the last time you were just a few. The participating creatures will be 8, and should more proposals emerge, I will be the one selecting those that inspire me the most. The contest is dedicated to the creation of higher species, capable of developing a culture. Imagine them as playable races in a role-playing game. Let us therefore give space to a spirit of creative collaboration, in which everyone can propose their own creatures, suggest improvements to those of others, and openly accept the suggestions received. And what do I mean by the concept of a creature? I refer to a general description formulated in few sentences, capable of conveying the main characteristics. One can start practically from any prompt, an idea about the appearance, about the abilities it might possess, or about cultural customs, both well-defined and only hinted at. To begin, it is sufficient to combine a couple of elements that stimulate your imagination, and then start reasoning in terms of biological pressure and cultural influences. Topics that we will explore more deeply in the next video dedicated to the expansion of the concept. To give a few examples, in the first video of the series on how to create fantasy and alien races that you can find on my Italian channel, let me know in the concept if you want an English version, I had proposed 4 concepts formulated like this. Narrati, elves who build magical towers to channel the power of the moon. Originally the structures were born as practical necessity. Towers high enough to surpass the canopy of the trees and allow them to capture the moon rays. Today, between the spreading of settlements in the plains and the deforestation that has reduced forest, they would not be indispensable. However, this custom has taken roots so deeply in their culture as to turn into a true symbol of prestige, from functional tools to status symbol. Turk, warriors and savage lizard folk who carve runes into trees in order to feed on the sap. They consider sacred the trees from which they extract this nectar, consuming it only before battle, since it gives great strength. The runes, besides being a ritual sign, have the purpose of prompting the healing of the trees, reflecting the existence of a true tree cult. Camarids, aliens who, thanks to cybernetic implants, are able to survive without eating or drinking. They adopted these implants, such as solar panels inserted into their bodies, following a devastating famine that struck their region of the galaxy, sacrificing part of their own humanity in order to survive. Now that the crisis is over, the new generations can finally live without implants, returning to their galaxy of origin and rediscovering the traditional cuisine of their ancestors. Vixids, insectoids endowed with a hive mind, from whose bodies it is possible to extract a fragrant essence used to create the best perfumes in the galaxy. The hive mind developed for the obvious advantages it offers to the species. The fragrant substance instead derives from a particular element of their diet that only they are able to metabolize, and it has not yet been possible to reproduce it in a laboratory. For this reason, they find themselves on the brink of extinction, victim of the intensive hunt by poachers. Moreover, for each of these creatures you can find a short story on my website, only in Italian unfortunately. Let me know in the comments if you want a translation. Now it's your turn. To participate in the contest, create a concept and write it in a comment with the name of your creature in all capital letters so that it's clearly visible. And you don't have to limit yourself to just one, you can create all the concepts you want. Only in this case, for a matter of order, make a different comment for each creature, so that if someone else or myself should have comments to add, there will be no confusion about which creatures he is referring to. So have fun and see you in the next video. Bye!